The Airpods Max. Some people have called them another overpriced Apple gadget. Others think of them as a masterpiece. As a headphone enthusiast myself, I was excited to try them, particularly to suit my growing need for mobile listening. Their wide mesh headband, metallic piston arms, and polished aluminum ear cups are an interesting blend of visual concepts. At first, I was kind of disappointed that the only color that was available at the time for me to get my hands on was black, given all the fun alternatives that they seem to have, but after holding them in person, I actually think it gives the mesh headband a little bit less of a toy look like other people have mentioned. I'm not going to go into a ton of discussion about the features and the Bluetooth connectivity and things because other reviews have done an excellent job of looking at these headphones in that way. The bulk of this review is to answer a question I know I had early into looking into these that I think a lot of other people have as well. A lot of the talk that there has been about these headphones has been how do they compare with other Bluetooth noise-canceling headphones? And that's a fair comparison because that is the class of headphones we're talking about. But I think people wonder, when we're talking about $500 headphones, how do they compare with audiophile grade headphones at similar price point? Prior to trying the Airpods Max, I had searched this extensively and found very little. It seemed like opinions at the time were largely from two groups of people. Either they were average listeners, who were wowed by the sound but kinda shocked at the price tag, or audio snobs that kinda seemed to turn their nose up at the idea that Apple headphones could even be in a discussion of high-end headphones. And so, for me, as someone who's been a lifelong audio enthusiast and owns a lot of gear, but I wouldn't call myself quite that anal, here's my honest take on these, having used them almost exclusively for 2 or 3 weeks now. And for your reference, headphones I've tested these directly against include Beyerdynamic DT770, the DT1990, the Denon AHD 5000s, and Sennheiser HD 600s. The mid-range of the Airpods Max most reminded me of the Sennheisers. It was very present and well represented in the mix, more so than even the DT1990 in terms of levels. The Airpods Max have better bass, I would say, than the Sennheiser HD 600. Of course, by better, I don't necessarily mean in terms of clarity or impulse speed or whatnot, but I mean rather in the overall presentation, how deep they play, how present that bass is without needing any EQ. Not by a lot. Like the Beyerdynamic DT1990, the Airpods Max can play well into subwoofer depths of bass. I think the DT1990's bass with some EQ is actually better overall than the Airpods Max with a comparable EQ, but the Airpods bass is, to me, punchier out of the box when you're not using any EQ, and that's important because particularly if you're not using Apple Music on your iPhone, you don't really have access on iOS to a system-wide EQ, so it's kind of important to have headphones that you would say sound fun and engaging with nothing right out of the box. And that's really the most striking feature I would say about the Airpods Max sound, really. There's a sense of tonal balance where the bass is solid, but it's not bloated. The mids are powerful without stealing the show, and the highs are clear and articulate, but I wouldn't really call these overly bright headphones, and that is a pretty different experience than the HD 600 to a degree, and definitely of the DT1990. The 1990 is a very bright headphone, and while it also boasts a ton of beautiful detail, that can be a little fatiguing. The Airpods Max don't always strike the same level of instrument detail as the DT1990s, but I would say they certainly have a more accessible sound that, without changing out the ear cups or using an EQ, is fun without being fatiguing. Instrument separation is excellent on the Airpods Max. It's one of my favorite things about their sound. No genre of music just sounds like a wall of sound hitting you in the face, which is a quality some headphones can kind of do. Instead, each instrument stands out distinctly, which makes guitar solos, percussion, and vocals very engaging on a variety of genres. For rap with fast rhyming, this clarity and strong midsection makes the lyrics really easy to follow. When I listened to Metallica's Black Album, I really got this sense of impact at Lars's drumming, which stood out to me even more than the memorable guitar sections. For pop music with strong, emotive vocals like, say, Adele, Dua Lipa, Ed Sheeran, I got a very similar emotional experience that I had had when I very first auditioned the DT1990s. Those vocals hit hard, intimately, and emotionally, and for that kind of music, can't ask for more than that. Just as importantly, these details are, for the most part, handled cleanly. When I compared the Airpods Max against the Denon AHD 5000s, which for a long time were my favorite headphones, I got a similar sense between the two of a laid-back but fun sound. But I couldn't help but notice the sibilance of the D5000s in the treble. There was a lot of hiss with the S's. Something I did not notice on the Airpods Max, and so that was actually a real moment of the AirPods having a quality that was superior to some other higher-end audiophile headphones that I listened to. For comparisons to other audiophile headphones in the price range, I think there's one thing really worth bearing in mind in fairness to the Airpods Max. There are noise-canceling Bluetooth headphones with numerous microphones and other technology inside of them. That is part of what you're paying for, and so to necessarily expect that the entire $550 price tag is going into nothing but housing and drivers, like would be the case with the DT9090s and all of the other ones I mentioned, that's not really fair. But just how much sound quality the Airpods Max do provide while doing all those other things, I think is pretty great. The DT1990 are generally my daily drivers. Anytime I'm sitting at my desk with the DAC and headphone amp, those dollars to donuts are what I've been using for a while now. I just think that they're a very well-rounded headphone and they have excellent detail. But the rest of the time, anytime I'm up and about, I'm using my phone, I'm going on walks, I'm doing stuff around my house, I've been using the Airpods Max almost exclusively. Sometimes I've even used them at the desk via a cord, and I found them to be a very solid experience. In conclusion, I would say the excellent build quality, the sleek look, the extremely comfortable headband, and the well-represented tonal balance create a really worthwhile package for anyone looking for great sound on the go. And the fact that you can get active noise canceling, the brilliant transparency mode, and engaging detail without needing a separate DAC and headphone amp are great benefits, especially for somebody who might just be getting into high-end audio and doesn't want to have to buy all of that other stuff. The nice thing about these headphones is you only need your phone, or whatever other device you're going to pair them to. The Airpods Max price tag might indeed be steep compared to other portable headphones, sure, and their sound isn't perfect. But to the claims that they're overpriced for what they offer, I disagree. Thanks for watching.